Give us an intro, boys.
Let her rip, Corm.
Oh, I mean, you're the guy. I mean, you are.
All right.
You got a voice for radio.
All right.
Face for it, for sure.
We're on the road. So, for those of you that have followed along on the last two podcasts, we kind of just like haphazardly decided to do these. So we called it the Over the Road podcast. We don't like that, even though we're on the road now. So we've changed it to Riding Shotgun. So, welcome to the Riding Shotgun podcast with Flying V.
Welcome.
On today's show, we have a host of topics, a variety of things to cover. But first and foremost, let's do a little recap on the first annual Migration Mixer that happened last weekend.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah, we had a lot of people show up.
Yeah, it was pretty cool for the first time ever doing it. And, you know, we really didn't start advertising it till, you know, a month ahead of time. So it wasn't like there was a big lead into it. You know, our shop is in Belgrade, Montana. We just got our shop built out, offices built out, everything finished, lev racks done, epoxy flooring, like the whole thing's finally done and ready to rock. And we thought it'd be fun to throw kind of a pre-season kickoff party. So we were thinking of a name. We decided to call it the Flying V Migration Mixer. For those of you that have ever seen Step Brothers, you might know that they themselves go to a party called the Mixer. The Catalina Wine Mixer.
It only seemed fitting.
Oh, man, it's so good.
I mean, live music, free beer, free food, and a ton of raffles. Man.
Yeah, it was cool. We had a lot of support on the raffles from some of the brands.
Yeah, I mean, we had 2 turtle boxes there, 2 First Light systems there. We had, I mean,
SIG sour gear,
SIG,
crispy boots.
We had a SIG rifle scope,
Yep.
SIG binos.
Yep.
FHF,
FHF
Bino
gear.
harness. We had
All
some
those cool
Boss,
cow pouches, too.
Yep.
That we gave away with the Boss.
2 cases of Boss shells with the cow pouches. Those things are badass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all the Yeti stuff.
Yeti.
We had, you know, Yeti Go boxes, Yeti Tundra.
Yeti stuff was a big hit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then we gave out the first 50 people that showed up, got a custom, you know, 20-ounce stackable.
Kind of like this
tumbler.
one, but with the Flying V on it.
Yeah.
Bingo. Yep, that exact one in the Wetlands color had the Flying V on it.
Best part about it was, you know, the keg beer that went in them.
Yeah, and so all 50 people that came first got to drink out of the kegs.
Yeah.
I will say we overestimated the amount of beer we would go through because people did drink a lot of beer, but we really only got through about half of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, in the kegs, we got 2 kegs thinking 50 people would drink on it. But what I learned was that even though there was, you know, those first 50 people showed up a half hour early, not all of them were drinking.
No.
Yeah.
What I learned is we were spot on estimating the number of people that were going to come, but we didn't take into account that most people brought their wives or their girlfriends, which we wanted. It was a family event, so totally fine. But, like, usually wives and girlfriends aren't going to drink, you know, 6 beers.
Yeah.
Or 20.
Yeah. So we overbought on the beer, which is fine.
We do know some that do, though.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We were just discussing them.
We got Dane with us. We got Ryan with us. Ryan's going elk hunting starting. Are you going to leave tonight?
Yeah, I'm going to leave tonight.
Heck
Headed down
yeah.
to Utah.
Bingo.
It's the fall harvest. You might as
It
well.
is, yeah.
Oh, sure is. You're going to go down there with your family?
Yeah, it's one of the last. It's the last year that there's 2 old boys that have been in this elk camp for my entire life, obviously, but it's going on, I believe, 37, 40 years, somewhere around there. And it's the last time, so I'm going to pick my dad up, and we're going to go enjoy the last elk camp down in Utah that I grew up doing. It's actually, funny enough, the first duck that I ever killed was on this lake. Jump shot it, and I had to wade out in my Wranglers and go and fetch it.
I have 2 questions about this elk hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, why have you decided it's the last one? Are they old boys going to get put down? Or
No, they're just they're older, and it's just a lot for them to get get everything together and just
Do they know it's the last one?
Yeah, they do.
Told them, or
They've mentioned it, and
Okay.
that's the reason that I'm going down there is that, I mean, they're just getting up there in age and can't do it anymore.
yeah.
I just didn't know if at the end of the hunt on the last day you're going to drop it on them like, well, boys, been a good run for the past 3 or 4 decades, but you're done.
Yeah, this is the last one for you. It was fun.
Are you gonna bring meals with you?
I'm gonna have my dad do that,
Yeah.
just to lighten my load.
Yeah.
He's the camp cook.
He is this time, yeah.
My second question. So if this has been going on for 30 to 40 years, what's the historical success rate on this elk slaughter?
Oh man, we have really cleaned house. It's actually
Love that.
there's not a lot of elk around there anymore, but they've also done a lot of logging in this
Because
area.
you guys been cleaning house for 40 years.
And we
When
have-
you delete the resource,
Well, I mean, Brady, you being from Utah, you know how it is. As soon
Yeah.
as rifle season comes out, I mean, there's an orange army, and if it's brown, it's down. Like
Yeah.
we've done really good. I don't have a number, but I mean, I've killed myself up there 5 different elk.
That's
And-
that C1 tag in Utah, isn't
Oh
it?
yeah, see one, shoot one.
Well, that'll be a fun trip, man.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's been a while, like since I moved up here to Montana, which was in 2019. I haven't been to that camp, and it sucks that I've never missed one.
yeah.
So
Yep.
it's going to be really cool.
So
to-
it's cows and spikes.
cows and spikes. Yep.
That's awesome.
And you don't have a tag. You're just going for moral support and
I'm gonna
being
go.
a young buck to help pack some stuff out.
To bid farewell.
From the sounds of it, he might be the Dr. Jack Kevorkian who's going to put him down.
I'm
He's
going to
bo-
go down and drink a bunch of Twinkies. My grandma's brother, he's the one who gave me my first gun and first rifle, and that's what he called whiskeys, is drinking Twinkies. So I'm going to go down and have a few Twinkies for Uncle Max.
That'll be great.
There you go. Well,
And-
Ryan's going to miss the Waterfowl opener here, but that's a pretty good reason to do it.
Yeah.
So it is
Yes, it
Thursday,
is.
the 26th of September today, and our waterfowl season opens up in 2 more sleeps.
Oof.
Oh man, I'm so fired up.
We got to do some scouting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to do some scouting. I'm excited for it, but I'll be honest, the last few years we've had so much going on with ranch management and everything that, like, as the season gets closer and it's about to open, I'm really excited for the season, but I'm also like, man, it would be awesome if we had 2 more weeks to get ready.
Yeah, it's just a sprint to the finish line, and it's almost like you can never get it all done. But season opening is still really awesome.
I mean, one of the greatest days of the year. It's at a minimum a marker that the fact that the next 115 days are going to be the best 115 days of your year.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
the worst 115 for the wives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or the best.
Or the best.
Or the best.
I mean, they get a little peace and quiet, house stays clean.
Yeah.
It's not all bad.
Totally.
Yeah, we got a fun hunt, kind of at least semi lined up for Saturday. A tradition of ours is to bring Trey and Coulter.
Yeah, my
and our
son
crew.
and his best buddy.
Yep, our crew, and go out and last year we shot some ducks, but most of the time it's a field goose hunt.
Yep.
That's what we're looking for. And
Oh, well, let's be honest, field goose hunting's the best.
it surely is.
Mm-hmm.
And so it'll be fun to get out with the boys, dust everything off. It was nice that we had kind of a dry run in Idaho.
Yeah.
So trailer's ready to go already. We just got to hope that we at least have some geese in this field and not on the neighbor.
They were in there last week,
Mm-hmm.
and we've been so slammed on the ranches that we just haven't been able to get back down there. But we'll go tomorrow. We're on the road right now today. We're headed south of Missoula, Montana to Stevensville,
Mm-hmm.
taking Smoke, my Chesapeake Bay Retriever puppy, to the trainer.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll talk about that on a different episode. But that's why we're on the road right now with these 4 D-gens.
and 2 in the bed.
And 2 in
Two
tow.
bed. Yeah, we got my Chessie puppy and then Dane's Catahoula puppy in here. So
Yeah.
Those are elk out there, huh, Ryan? on that timber?
Whoa.
I'm not seeing them.
All the livestock out there,
Yeah,
or elk.
but they could be.
I've never heard
But-
elk say.
I mean, they looked like elk to me.
I bet
They were the right color.
I bet they taste good either way.
Well, if they're
The
cattle,
best
they
taste.
definitely taste better than elk.
100%.
I think we should talk about this.
Contrary to what Ryan believes.
No, this is not just a Ryan thing.
I mean, it is hard to debate.
Oh, it's very
That-
easy, but we don't want to do it.
It's hard to debate that cattle, moo cows, aren't better than elk. Like, it's hard to debate that.
Yeah, it's like debating that the sky is red.
Yeah.
It's clearly blue.
Yeah.
I mean, elk is great.
Elk is great.
Elk is awesome. I too love elk.
I do too. And we eat a lot
But
of it.
when somebody tries to tell me, oh, it's just as good or better than beef, I'm like, oh, okay, pal.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
An animal that has been used for feeding people and optimized for taste for hundreds of years compared to a game animal
Yes.
is just
Way more natural.
you
Elk
got
is.
you got an uphill battle.
Yeah.
But elk is really good.
Oh yeah, I'm never gonna turn down an elk steak.
No.
No, me neither. But if you had a ribeye side by side,
You'd eat more of the ribeye.
I'm eating only the ribeye.
I'd probably take a couple bites, especially if Ryan was cooking it. You know, he takes so much pride.
Oh, yeah.
He does.
They are
On
good,
the
though.
Traeger.
No.
Totally.
Oh, that's Matt. Never mind.
Oh, yeah.
I like a Traeger.
Yeah.
I mean, Traegers aren't terrible. I know
According to
you're
Brady,
I know
they're-
you're against them.
I've tried for years and years and years to fall in love with the Traeger, and I've come to the conclusion that the Traeger is phenomenal for chicken and like ribs and brisket and stuff. But if you want to cook a steak, a high quality steak, there is maybe not a worse tool on the planet to use than a Traeger. You get no sear.
Just doesn't get hot enough.
Steak is made to be cooked over fire.
Yeah.
Whether it's gas, charcoal, wood, whatever, it's just made to be cooked over fire.
Oh.
I mean, I would prefer even just a cast iron skillet steak
Yeah.
over a Traeger. Traeger is like baking a steak in the oven.
Yeah.
With
How about
with
those?
a little bit of smoky flavor.
How about those tomahawks that Bob made? Oh man,
Oh,
those things were good.
They were good.
Yeah, and they were cooked
Talk
on
about open fire.
Fire.
dun-dun-dun-dun, fire.
Propane. Oh.
Yeah, they were really good. So, all right, moving on. We're on the road, riding shotgun with us. Let's talk a little bit about some of the projects we got going on right now that we're running through the season, Matt.
Yeah, we got two big projects happening right now as we speak. One is the Gorge, which is a 6-cell impoundment that we kind of drew up. Let's see, it was in February or January. We kind of drew it up.
Wintertime, yeah.
Drew it up in January. And basically what we did was we took, we had this water creek. We have a reservoir on top of a hill, and all the outflow water flows down this gorge, this natural gorge. And so what we did, or what we thought about was, wouldn't it be cool if you could find a way to put, you know, some sort of crops or build some dikes in it to be able to leverage that water so it's not just wasted?
Because it's the end of the irrigation ditch, so all that water that comes through the ranch, it comes through us, but once it leaves that holding reservoir that we run pivots out of, it's just ditch water that runs straight into the Gallatin River. So it's good water, and we're not consumptively using the water. We're just flooding cells, and then when we're done and the birds eat out, you know, cell 1 through 6, we then send that water right down the same ditch and right down to the same thing. So there's no real water consumption use on it. It's just diking it up, damming it up so that we can hunt it for a week or two and then move on to the next cell.
And so the process was kind of fun to go through, because the irrigation company, we had to figure out how to build pivots to go over and water the crops. And it's actually really kind of a unique system with all the rubber gaskets and everything so that the pivot can flex. And, you know, we built these berms, and and it's all set up for being able to hold at least 40 inches of water. And so on the downhill side, it's pretty high, man. Like,
I mean, it's
like
over,
they're like 8,
over
10
6
feet.
8 feet, yeah.
And so these pivots have to be able to climb these dikes. And so that was a fun process to learn kind of how that can actually happen and be able to see what a pivot can actually do, because they can flex a lot. And it was cool to see it work through there.
And what we did is we did 2 3-tower pivots. So each pivot services 3 cells. And so each year on the crop rotation, 3 cells will be one crop, 3 cells will be another. So for example, this year it was barley and corn. Well, corn takes more water. So that pivot can be turned up to, water the corn appropriately, and then the other one for the barley. So that way you're not running one 6 or 7 tower pivot trying to water 2 different crops, trying to calibrate the sprayers on different ends of it. So the 2 3-tower pivot game, I think, was definitely the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, to your point, it's really impressive seeing these things, how they can go way up on the dikes, climb up them, come down them, water the whole bottom of the cell that's loaded with crop, and then up and over and up and over. So
yeah, it's really cool. And so what we did is we put head gates on every dike, and then we put an agri-drain on every dike. And we just started a handful of days ago on Monday flooding cell number 2 for the very first time. First time we've put water in this thing. And it's been a good learning experience for us, because I mean, you really don't know how the stuff is going to work until you just get into it. You can draw it up, as many times as Sunday, but you can't know exactly how the grade's going to work, where the water's going to flow first and last, and even as much as like how much water the head gates can pull back, where do they need to be.
Yeah.
I mean, we're learning a lot about it.
And cell number 2, the one that we flooded, it's the first one we flooded. It's a barley cell, so we're not trying to flood 3 feet of water. This one we're looking for, I would say,
6
average
to 9 inches.
Yeah, 8-10 inches, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's not super deep.
And it's going to change throughout the year from what I learned last year with the west impoundment, depending on how much water's coming down the ditch. Like, we're going to learn that this year on these cells, and then it's going to maybe adjust again next year, because depending on the time of year, who's pulling water ahead of us, or
Yeah,
Well,
the inflow matters.
And right now,
at a high level.
Right now, the ditches are still running so hot, but people are starting to irrigate less and less. We have a huge flow coming in right now.
Right.
I mean, we have a full-on frickin' river coming down that thing right now. But you think about it, man, by like, say, middle of November to Thanksgiving, that flow could go way down, right? Way down.
Yeah.
And so it'll be interesting to see how the flow changes it and just how long it takes us to flood the cells. So the cells all vary in size a little bit, but I would say they're an average of 2 acres each.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 14-acre project.
Yeah.
Yeah, 14 acres total, and then you probably lose a couple acres to the dikes and, the berms and everything. So
Yeah. And one of the cool parts about the cells, the excavating guys did a great job, is they're pretty evenly graded up in slope, so you're able to, put water on a third of the cell, and so the birds have open water in a third of the barley, and they'll eat that crop, and then you close the head gate, or you put a couple boards in the agri-drain, and it floods another third of the cell, and they eat that crop, and then another third, so you're able to get, at least 2 different water levels out of one cell, which makes it hopefully able to sustain food for ducks for longer.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. I think a lot of people make them perfectly flat. And for us, the way that we have to flood these things, it just works out better to have that grade on it at an angle so that you can introduce more and more food as the season goes on.
yeah, prolongs the food source and the time that you can use that individual impoundment, right?
And even though they're only 2 to 3 acres, we are hoping to get at least 2 weeks of hunting out of every cell, like when this thing matures up.
Yeah.
Right? And so you got to be able to, once they find it, you got to be able to just ease them into it. Because otherwise, I mean, and I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but you put 10,000 ducks in there, it's not going to take them long to eat out.
No.
2 acres of barley.
No. The other thing that we've done is on the dikes. This year we ordered pit blinds from Kohler Blinds out of Nebraska, Mike Cunningham.
And that would be the second project, like big project we got going on right now.
Yeah. So we've ordered these pit blinds. We've got 8 of them coming this year. We've already received 4. We've got another 4 coming next week. Mm-hmm. We are putting them in the dikes at every cell. All of them facing north, right? So you're not looking into the sun. Also, our wind is prevailing, I'd say west-southwest wind. Mm-hmm. And so facing north is awesome for these cells.
When we have wind.
Yeah, when we have wind. We have a lot of days of sun and no wind.
Basically every day.
Yeah, in that valley for sure. So, having the pit blinds built right into the dikes is pretty cool. We'll be able to drive right to them. They got 4 heaters in every pit. They're 16-foot pits.
Yeah.
And, we sat in them with us, and we're confident you could easily run 8 guys out of that pit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very, very comfortable. And then what we did is Kohler makes these dog pit blinds, which are basically a 55-gallon barrel, plastic barrel, and then he builds a metal top, seals them off, and it sticks out of the ground next to the pit. So we've got dog pit blinds on both the right and left side of every pit, because often we're running 2 dogs. And so it's going to be really neat. I'm looking forward to, cranking the heat up in there when it's cold as heck outside.
Yeah, me too. I think it's going to change the experience for sure.
Definitely,
One thing,
like that last day of season last year, it was minus 41, and
Yeah.
And you're just out there freezing.
It'll be
your ass
real
off
nice.
and
being in a
welcoming
warm pit.
that.
Yeah.
none of the guns work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cold as heck. But one challenge that we're having with the pits, at least on this ranch, is the elk. The elk on this ranch are raising havoc.
They're a menace
on basically everything, including the pits. So much so that we had one fall into a pit within just a few days of putting it in the ground.
Yeah, I mean, they all have like metal tin roofing panels to cover the hole. They're really, really nice pits.
Really nice pits.
The freaking elk just went ahead and stepped right on the metal roofing and boop.
Yeah, so we
down
have
he
4
went.
in the ground, and 3 of them have been stepped on, one of which had an elk fall into it. And
The elk got out.
the elk
Luckily.
got out on its own, but did mess a little bit. I mean, it's not
Didn't hurt the
irreparable
pit, other than the tin
damage.
panels and one of the gun clips.
But yeah, we go down there one day, and it's just, well, you guys were there, not even me.
Yeah.
Huge hole in top of the paneling.
Huge hole and a big old elk hoof print on the seat.
We're like 500 yards away from the pit in the side-by-side, and I'm looking, I'm like, there is no, like, one of the panels is completely missing from the pit top, and I'm like, there's a 50-50 chance that there's an elk inside of the pit.
Yeah, Dana and
either
Ryan and
dead
I
or alive.
expected to walk up and see an elk just sitting in there.
Yeah.
It's good that
It's great that it got out.
Good to know that they got out on their own because we know a guy that had a whitetail buck fall in to the pit, and then it couldn't get out, so it just like lived in there for like 10 days.
Just shit all over the pit.
And then there was shit all over in the pit, and then they had to get it out. They had to hook it up to a truck, because I mean, you can't just go down there and like lift it out. Say, hey, hold on, I'm just going to help you out here real quick.
No, they're actually, I think the whitetail bucks would be pretty against that.
Yeah, they had to rope it and pull it out.
And then the best part is, you get him out, and you got him tied. You got a damn whitetail deer tied to your pickup.
Yeah.
That's when the rodeo really begins.
Cut the rope.
Flank him, Brady.
Yeah, just go flank him. Get the rope off.
Yeah.
I got faith you could bulldog him. I mean, I did it with mule deer.
You did.
You bulldogged some mule deer?
Yeah, on the urban deer relocation project that I was over in central Utah.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that makes sense. I was going to say, what you're saying is illegal.
But in the spirit of conservation, it's not.
Yeah, it's definitely possible, and it's actually pretty close to the same size as the clover traps that we would use.
Yeah.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the elk have been causing havoc.
Yeah, the elk are raising hell, but you know, the flip side of that is it's kind of a cool problem to have because the ranch is covered in elk. We've got big bulls there, lots of elk. I mean, every evening you can go out and look at hundreds and hundreds of elk. You know, the rut is going on right now. They're bugling their heads off.
Oh, man,
And
it's just
so
a symphony all day long.
It's just Jurassic Park down there. It's crazy.
Really, really cool to have the elk. And let's be honest, I mean, it's kind of a staple in Montana to have the elk and have the elk around.
Yeah.
And this one just happens that this herd just happens to live on a duck ranch.
Yeah.
And so we're learning how to battle that.
You know, one other thing to bring up about the cells I just thought of. Another thing that we did, so just up the way from these cells, we have a huge pump station that runs 5 pivots on the ranch. We ran power from that, and we took 6x6 steel posts, really nice raw steel posts, and at the end of every dike, we put a power pole in there that's about 4 feet tall that has 4 110 plugs on it. And the reason we did that is so as we get later into the season, we want to flood these cells, we can run ice eaters in them without having to run a generator. And those ice eaters can run continuously to keep those cells open. So as we have a lot of hot water on the range, so there's a lot of naturally warm water that holds ducks, but there's a lot of regular irrigation water and flat water that will freeze. And so having that power at every single cell, I think is going to be really cool because we can run up to 2 full ice eaters in every cell and have those things cranking silently, right? No gas engine running, so the ducks will still get in there. They can get in there, they can eat. So even if it starts to get cold and everything's freezing around us, we're going to be able to have flooded crop with open water.
Yeah, that can stay open.
I mean, it's a hell of a trump card.
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna run at least this first year, we're gonna run the J2 Outdoors ice rippers, the 110 version, and see how good they do in those cells. We're also gonna run them in our refuge system on that.
We ran a
ranch,
couple
so
of them last year and they did really well.
Yeah, they keep the water open. There's no question. But like with any generator, you always are constantly having to go out there and refill it. And if you miss it one day, then it locks up tight and it just creates more work. So running the power is going to be really handy, and the ducks will like it more. They don't mind the moving water. They don't love the generator.
Well, we found that in the refuge last year because, again, we ran those in the refuge and we ran 2 generators. And
the swans were okay.
The swans and pelicans had no problem with it.
Yep.
But the ducks didn't love it. The geese would kind of sit on the refuge a little bit.
Yeah, they'd sit on the ice.
But kind of like half-assed, right? And so I'm really excited to see all those running this year. And we may be running 10 or 12 at a time.
Yeah, we'll see how much they can keep open. I mean, you might only have to run 4.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to learn.
We're going to learn for sure.
Especially in that refuge because it already has flowing water a little bit, so the ice eaters in the refuge are just going to be increasing the flow. We'll have them pointed directionally, kind of all in the same direction of the flow, and we'll see how wide of a path it's able to keep open. But I think from top to bottom, if we put 5 or 6 of them in there, it should keep a pretty wide swath open.
Yeah,
I agree. I think the other thing that we'll do is rather than waiting until it gets cold and starts to ice up and then putting them in, we'll have them in, we'll have them set, and we'll potentially even have them running. A lot of times with the ice eaters, what happens is a guy's got an ice eater and you want to go hunt a hole or a pond, well, then you got to go in and cut the ice out and kick on the ice eater and then have it open up the hole, which does work, right? Pushes thawed water up on top of the ice, and that melts the ice. Works really well. Everybody that's waterfowl hunted in cold climates has been around them, used them. They work awesome. Our plan this year is, if we look at the weather and we know, hey, temps are going to be dropping next week hard, we'll get those suckers in and get them going before that even happens. So as the temperature is starting to drop and come down, our ice eaters are already cranking and running.
It's
And
just
get 'em-
maintaining it.
Yeah, and just get that water flowing earlier.
Yeah.
Totally.
Get the ducks used to the water flowing and learn the nuances of it. Because one thing that we have learned is with every one of these projects, there are nuances that you have to figure out. And the only way you can do it is to just get into it.
Yeah.
And if you're battling ice at the same time as learning, there are inherent problems that come with that, right?
Correct.
So getting the water moving early, keeping them on the refuge. I also like having the ice shelves. So we have on that refuge system, there's a bunch of cattails. So we'll have the ice shelves for birds to sit on because we've all seen it. I mean, they love to land in the water and they hang out in the water, but they also love to just like chill.
Get up on the ice and sit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to have ice shelves, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's going to be great.
Our refuge system, which is not the flooded impoundment gorge we're talking about, it's a 3-pond system that's big. I mean, it's 10 acres plus.
Yeah, the whole thing is 80 acres, but
Right,
from an open water standpoint,
standpoint, yeah.
it's like 15 or 16 acres.
Yeah,
It's pretty
so
good. It's pretty good size.
I think we can keep a good bit of it open, but we're not going to keep it all open with the ice eaters, which again, to your point, I totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
Having ice shelves is no problem.
Yeah, it'll be really cool to see the ducks show up. Hopefully they show up a little bit earlier this year than December 20th when they showed up last year.
Last year, it was 75 degrees in November when we're hunting.
Golly.
It's just a wild, wild year last year.
It took forever for the birds to get here.
Yeah.
And it was good for our friends up north, but for us, we would have liked to see them show up, sometime around mid-November.
Well, the nice thing is we're far enough north that normally we're the ones that benefit in the warm year because they always come from Canada and make it to Montana, and then they hang up here, and all your pals south of us are calling and telling us to go ahead and send a few down, and we're just up here living the best life. But last year it was so dang warm that roles were reversed, and it was Canada that was enjoying it.
Right. We had a good hatch though, so we got a good crop of ducks right now.
Yeah, nested a bunch of ducks on the property.
I think nationwide. I mean, I feel like there's a bunch of ducks around.
Yeah, I was listening to the DU podcast the other day, and they were talking about the duck numbers, and I mean, they're all up. Everything's looking good. Good hatch, good water. So that was good. So I look forward to getting into it. Where we're at in Montana, we always have enough to hunt for the opener or so, a week or two, and then seems like there's a bit of a lull there because we tend to get some kind of a weather system mid-October that will push out some of our existing birds, but it doesn't bring in the big push yet.
Because of where we're located in the Rockies, north of us doesn't necessarily, at least our home base in the Gallatin Valley, north of us doesn't get the same weather systems as we get, because all those weather systems just come through the Rockies and circle around and then push across the plains. And so that stuff north of us just, like, it could be 60 degrees up there and we're getting hammered with snow.
Yep.
So you just don't get that push.
Yep.
So we usually have a lull. It usually gives us some time to get some things done too, get things wrapped up before the main push comes, and it'll be exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, ready's probably not the word because I can think of about 5,000 things we need to do. But we're ready for the opener on Saturday.
Yeah.
Everything's ready to rock. We had a dry run in Idaho when we went down for early goose, so that was great. Everything went smooth. We're ready to let her rip.
What else, Dano? You have some thoughts?
Man,
I got something for you, Dane.
Yeah.
You're going on a trip here pretty quick, here in a couple weeks.
Yep. Yeah, I'm going to Canada middle of October with our buddy Simon and Garrett. I'm super excited. Huh?
Yep. What's the name of the outfitter?
Flight 51.
Sure is.
Yep. I'm pretty pumped.
Right on the Alberta-Saskatchewan border.
Yep. I've never been on a guided trip, which I'm going to an outfitter, but obviously I'm going with buddies too, so.
Yeah, our close pals own it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But definitely get the, hunting lodge outfitter experience. I mean, They're some of the best. They got 5-star amenities. They hammer the birds. They're great hunters, great callers, great setups. I'm super excited. I've never hunted in Canada before, so I'm excited about that. There's the species variety is one of the things that I'm most excited about. They get cranes, snow geese, specks, Canadas, ducks. You know, they'll shoot pintails and widgeon and mallards, and like, it's insane. You know, all in one day sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm just pumped up to see that many birds, let alone potentially shoot that many different species.
From the sounds of it, too, they've got some killer upland hunting. So,
Yeah.
I know it's not our main thing, but I could see in the afternoon going for a little upland walk.
Oh, yeah. I'd love that.
Getting some huns, and, yeah, it'd be a great time.
And shooting cranes midday.
Oh, yeah.
So good.
I'm pumped. I'm pumped on the cranes. I'm pumped. Yeah, it'll just be fun. I mean, we've just been head down for the last couple years, just kind of doing our own thing, learning our own stuff, going hard on the TV show. Like, I mean, we've been to Wyoming, went to Idaho this year, been to North Dakota, but like California, but like outside of that, like, I haven't even hunted Washington, where I'm from, in a few years. So, like, being able to go somewhere different. We get to hunt with Simon and Garrett a couple times every year, but not much, just because they're up there. And then, you know, they come down and we get a couple hunts with them. But I'm super fired up.
You're going to love it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited for you.
I mean, it's the land of living skies, man.
Yeah.
It's wild.
So,
well, that's awesome.
About that.
I love that.
Oh,
Dane's
yeah.
going to Canada. Ryan's going to Utah.
Yeah.
Matt and I are going to stay here and keep chipping away at them.
Just chip away.
Hold down the fort.
Yeah.
Hold down the fort.
Maybe get a scout in for my crane hunt.
Yeah.
You know, I've mentioned this on the previous 2 podcasts. New to waterfowl hunting, and the boys are like, "Hey, you got to put in for cranes." Well, the new guy got them.
Yep.
Ryan's the only one that pulled the tag.
Ryan's got 2 cranes to kill, and you know, we got a banger lined up for Saturday.
Yeah.
Banger crane hunt.
Truth is, you would kill him Saturday.
You would kill the cranes on Saturday.
I believe it.
Let's talk about Hunter.
Oh yeah, Hunter.
Tell us about Hunter.
Yeah, so a few weeks ago I was on Facebook in this Montana Waterfowlers Facebook group, and a guy made a post, and he's like, "Hey, does anybody have any crane decoys I can rent?" It's like, I drew a crane tag and never done it, and, you know, we want to rent some decoys. Well, you know, we've got 5 dozen dive bomb silhouettes, crane silhouettes, so I message him, and I'm like, "Hey, dude, I don't have anything for rent, but come on over to the shop. You can take the decoy spread, all 5 dozen of them, and, you know, go give her hell." So he came by. We'd never met him. Super nice guy.
Really nice.
Came in to the shop, met him. We ended up sending him with one of the Rig-'em Right ghillie blinds, layout blinds.
Yeah.
And then we sent him with some really awesome Apex ammunition for his crane hunt, and kind of got him squared away and sent him off. And he went out the next weekend, killed one day, and then went out again a day or 2 later and killed a second one. So he was super pumped. He brought all the gear back to the Flying V Migration Mixer party that we had, and we got to hang out and hear the stories of the crane hunt. And we made a new friend out of the deal. The guy is really, really cool. I thought it was cool. He brought us a really awesome canvas print of 2 sandhill cranes from a photo that he took. As kind of a thank you for letting him borrow the stuff. But I look forward to calling that dude and getting him out in the goose blind this year. Again, he was a nice guy, and, you know, it's just further proof. If somebody needs something and you have it, let him borrow it. Let it, you know.
Yeah.
Again, we're all in the same community. We're all in the same thing together, and we always want to be guys that help people out, share information, share tactics, and in this case, share gear.
Yeah.
And it worked out really well. We're super happy for him that he filled his 2 crane tags, and from the sounds of it, that dude is pretty addicted to crane hunting now, and I have no doubt he'll be putting in next year.
Yeah, no doubt.
Hopefully he has better drawing odds than I do, because I haven't drawn a crane tag in
It's been 2 years.
A couple years, yeah.
Yeah, it's been 2 years since we've drawn. Yeah, it was cool to meet him. And then he won a raffle at the mixer.
Yeah, what
So-
did he win?
I can't remember what he won. No, he won the boss.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he
won the
won
12
ammo.
gauge.
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember when he won it, I'm like, hey, by the way, next time you come over to borrow shit, I'm not giving you ammo because you got a whole case of it.
Yeah. Well, and it's just always cool. Like, we have all had people that have helped us along the way in our waterfowl or hunting journeys. And I mean, I think back to when we were down in Louisiana and listening to Rusty Creasy talk about, you know, the mentors that he's had. And was it his uncle? Or
Yeah, his uncle was originally the manager of the Coca-Cola Woods.
Yep, his uncle, and like just hearing him talk about, you know, if his uncle wouldn't have, you know, brought him hunting, that where would he be, you know? And one thing, I haven't even told you guys about this, but one thing that he said in that seminar, he said, whoever was the really influential people into getting you into waterfowl hunting, write them a letter, tell them really how you feel, because you never know when the last time you're going to get to talk to them is, or tell them truly how you feel. I think he said that he wrote his uncle a letter or sat down and talked to him. You know, as men, sometimes it can be hard to, you know, get out what you want to say in words, and I ended up writing my grandpa a letter because of what he said, and just, you know, thanking him for taking me out when I was a little kid, and just telling him how much those memories meant to me, and I think that's important.
I think
It
that's
is
really
important.
cool, and you think about it, I mean, it sets you on the track you're on now.
Absolutely. You never know, and so that's what I'm saying with this is, like, now that we're in a position to, you know, be the mentors or whatever, like, do it. Like, you know, take people hunting, be willing to help someone out. You know, if you got something that someone needs to borrow and they don't have it, let them use it, or whatever the case is.
Be
you
an
know?
active member of the community for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Even with Trey and Coulter, like your son and his buddies, like,
And Trey's buddy Jace, who's
Yeah.
come with us. Like,
it's just fun to see those guys get to experience what we don't necessarily take for granted, but can be a day-to-day grind for us when we're hunting 70, 80 days a year. Like, a lot of people only get out a handful of times.
yeah.
Yeah, and they don't have all the gear they need, and they don't have all the experience, right?
Totally.
And so being able to share that knowledge, I do agree, is so valuable. And it was really cool to see Randy and his son Ben come to the mixer too. I
Yep.
mean, same thing for me. My mentor came to the mixer, and you know, he lives in Montana now, but it was we still don't get to see each other very often because he lives, you know, 3 hours away.
Yeah.
And it's just, those people are so valuable in your life that, to your point, Dane, I do agree with, you know, be a mentor to somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you do, you know, you just got to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Help
Yeah.
them out.
I totally agree. Well, guys, we're going to wrap this one up, I think. We're getting close to the trainers. We're going to drop this little terrorist Chessie off, Smoke, and
He is
You
turning
know,
into a terrorist.
his life's about to change drastically. We're excited.
Yep, he's going to boarding school.
He's going to boot camp.
Yeah.
So we're excited. It'll be fun. Hopefully we get him back before the season's over. You know, to be able to do just a couple, 2, 3, very small, very quiet hunts. So, like I said, we'll talk about this on another episode. But thanks for joining along, riding shotgun with Flying V. Catch you guys on the flip side.
We're out.